Guys, what's going on? James here, and in today's video we're going to be doing the MrBucsNation mock draft 2.0. So without further ado, let's get started. For the purposes of this 2.0 mock draft, I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently than I did in my first mock draft, and one of the first things that I'm going to do that is completely different is, obviously, Quinnen Williams is here on the board. Now, normally I would take Quinnen Williams, but for the purposes of this mock draft, I'm going to assume that Quan Alexander, he's not coming back, and the Buccaneers desperately want to draft linebacker Devin White out of LSU. You know, he's a really big fan favorite right now in terms of the overall community, and this guy is just good, okay? He's just absolutely good. He's the best linebacker in the draft class by far, and after him, it does dip a little bit. Obviously, there is the one linebacker, Bush, but, you know, obviously, Devin Bush Jr., but aside from that, it's a pretty decent drop-off, all things considered. So with that being said, I'm going to go with Devin White with my first-round pick. In round 2 now, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue to bolster up that defense. There's been rumors that both of the Buccaneers' first 2-round draft picks are going to be defenders, and that's the route I'm going right now. I'm going to go with interior defensive lineman Jeffrey Simmons out of Mississippi State. Now, again, I know it's kind of weird, and his worst trait is the 2-gap ability, but if you went ahead and you would ask Bruce Arians, I believe his quote is saying that they're not going to be playing a lot of 2-gap, that they don't believe in the 2-gap, so I'm going to go with Jeffrey Simmons. I feel that he would be a perfect fit in Todd Bowles and Bruce Arians' defense, but even if that isn't true and Bruce Arians decides that they are going to start using the 2-gap, I still feel that Jeffrey Simmons, he can be taught how to do the 2-gap and how to learn that ability. So I'm going to go with him. I'm going to continue to bolster up that defensive line and just that defense in general, because one of the first things that Bruce Arians said whenever he got hired was that he was going to work on things defensively, and I feel getting both Devin White and Jeffrey Simmons would be insanely huge in terms of resurrecting that defense and kind of building it up back to the way it should be, you know, way back in the day, back in the early 2000s when the Buccaneers were pretty darn dominant on defense. Round pick here, and I'm still going with my boy Miles Sanders out of Penn State, and I know I'm still a believer of Ronald Jones. Bruce Arians and Jason Light are still believers in Ronald Jones, but I still want to bolster up that running back room and just have a little bit of insurance and really push the current guys on that roster to really start doing some good. And I feel Miles Sanders, he'd be the perfect guy, and if, you know, if there is a really big competition, I feel that the cream would rise to the top in that instance, and regardless of whoever ends up being the best, you would have a very good situation at your running back position, and you would have a very good depth at running back position. That's a big thing for me, is building up depth, having strong depth on a team. So I feel getting Miles Sanders would be huge, but now we have round 4. Round 4 here, and I know there's going to be a lot of people who are not going to like this pick, but I'm going to go with him anyway. I'm going to go with Justin Hollins, the edge rusher out of Oregon. I saw this guy play live at the East-West Shrine game. I talked to his former defensive coordinator who came to watch him play, and, you know, as soon as he said, you know, hey, my guy's here, Justin Hollins from Oregon, he's going to do an awesome job, I actually started to watch him, and he was doing an awesome job. Now, I know that was against other college prospects and whatnot, but, man, I really feel that if Justin Hollins got the really best coaching staff that could possibly get him and to develop, I feel that he could be a phenomenal edge rusher, and I really trust Bruce Arians, Todd Bowles, Casey Rogers, and the rest of that coaching staff. So I feel that they would be able to take Justin Hollins and really make him into a star edge rusher. And again, this is just me continuing the trend of beefing up that defense and kind of getting as many good defensive players as I possibly can. I know there were a couple of guys there who you might have picked otherwise, but for me, I'm kind of a little bit biased. I love me some Trey Hollins, Justin Hollins. 5 here, and I'm actually probably going to go with a more of a fan favorite pick. It is Hunter Renfrow, wide receiver out of Clemson. This guy, you know, he's basically an Adam Humphries clone. Him and Adam Humphries, they're best friends. You know, they hang out, they're good buddies and whatnot. And this guy, again, he's basically just a clone of Adam Humphries. He's a shorter slot wide receiver who has really good hands and can take a lot of different hits and run some decent routes. So I'm going to go with him, kind of beef up that wide receiver core, especially since it's probably going to lose a couple of guys like Deshaun Jackson and Adam Humphries, who are both going to go into free agency. Obviously, Deshaun Jackson being released and Adam Humphries just flat out walking after his contract expired. So you need to build up that wide receiver core a little bit on the back end. And I feel having Justin Watson and Hunter Renfrow there, that would add some pretty decent depth, as well as Bobo Wilson. He'd be a big addition, and J.J. Nelson, the former Arizona Cardinal. If you have those 4 guys, I think you're doing really good and kind of keeping that wide receiver core really, really strong, as well as having guys like Sergio Bailey, Freddie Martino, whoever else you want to bring in. Wide receiver core would be fine. Finally, for the last pick that I'm going to make, I'm actually going to go with Jamal Peters, cornerback out of Mississippi State, 6'2", 218 pounds in the 7th round. I just kind of realized that I haven't really addressed the cornerback problem yet, and we're in round 7, so I'm going to try and bolster up the cornerback room a little bit here with Jamal Peters, but honestly, I expect the Buccaneers to maybe sign a guy or two in free agency, so, you know, regardless, I still think that Jamal Peters, he can be a very good corner out of Mississippi State. He has really good abilities in terms of getting past receivers, in terms of run blocking, and being a good man-to-man coverage corner, and that's what Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles both want in terms of what they want in their cornerback. So I feel like Jamal Peters, he would fit right in. He's going to be my final pick for this mock draft. Alright guys, that is it. The Mr. Bucs Nation mock draft 2.0 is complete, and let's review a little bit. So in round 1, we got Devin White, the linebacker out of LSU, a huge fan favorite right now, and I can completely understand why. This guy's an absolute monster on the field. He is the best linebacker in this class, probably by far, and I've seen some people say, well, Devin Bush, he's just as good, but man, I'm still going to go with Devin White. I think that he's pretty good, and I did want to do things a little bit differently. Normally, I would take Quinnen Williams, but I feel that that's too easy, and I do want to, you know, cover all the possible scenarios that the Bucs could do in this mock draft. So in the 2nd round, I still addressed the interior defensive lineman by getting Jeffrey Simmons out of Mississippi State, who I feel is a very good interior defensive lineman, and he kind of fits right into what Todd Bowles and Bruce Arians are going to want to do on defense. Round 3, Miles Sanders. He's my guy. He's always going to be my guy. Round 4, Justin Hollins, not Trey Hollins, out of Oregon, edge rusher. I have a lot of confidence in him, as does a lot of people at the University of Oregon, so I think that he can do really good, especially with Casey Rogers and Todd Bowles. Like I've said, they're going to do a really good job of developing this defense, and I feel that Justin Hollins, he's a little bit of a sleeper in terms of being a really good edge rusher. I think that he could be a late round steal 100% for this Buccaneers team. Finally, the next pick, Hunter Renfrow, wide receiver out of Clemson. Another fan favorite and a decent favorite of mine as well. I think that he would be the perfect replacement for Adam Humphries. I do want to see some other guys get some playing time, such as Sergio Bailey. I have a lot of confidence in Sergio Bailey. You also got to factor in J.J. Nelson among some other guys, but Hunter Renfrow, I think that he would be a beast. And then finally, Jamal Peters, cornerback, Mississippi State. Good size, good length. I think that he'd be really good in terms of working the man-to-man type defense. And yeah, I didn't necessarily address cornerback too much in this mock draft, but I feel, all things considered, Jamal Peters could still be a really decent cornerback for this team. But yeah, guys, there it is. That's my mock draft, the Mr. Bucs Nation mock draft 2.0. Let me know what you guys thought about it. What would you change based on what you guys saw from the picks that were available when I was picking? What would you do differently? Let me know what you think about all that down in the comment section below. Put your mock drafts down in the comment section below as well. I want to see them. But anyway, let me know what you guys thought about all this. Thank you so much for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. And as always, I'll see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.